Hello, I'm a student from America and I'm studying abroad at Milan at Bocconi University for the spring semester of 2020. So,
And it's 4 months, right?
yes, for 4 months.
Okay.
Um,
And how has been your experience to find the house? I mean, now you find it, but how has been your total experience? Like when you get to know that when you decided, or when you get to know that you come to Bocconi, and how it went from there.
yeah, so when I first arrived, I arrived a few days before class started just so that I could get used to my housing. But I was actually very surprised by the location that I had arrived at. So originally when I was booking, I used a very popular online housing site, and I felt secure knowing that the owner of the house was actually American in Italy. So I knew that she'd be good at English and we had similar backgrounds. And also just judging from the images and the way that the apartment was presented, it felt like a really good place. It almost felt like a steal given my budget. And once I arrived to Milan and I arrived to the house, I was actually very surprised to see how different the listing itself was. It was really misleading. For example, it wasn't as clean as listed. There was a couple of hidden costs, etc. I was pretty surprised and left immediately and ended up getting a hotel. And during that time, it's spun off like a week of really quick house hunting. So I was just looking around Milan for any vacant apartments. Given it was so close to the schooling semester, a lot of the apartments had already been filled, and looking for a short-term lease had been hard.
Because now we are already in the beginning of February, so that's why.
Yeah, exactly. There was already so many people that any availabilities had been filled in for the next few months. And fortunately, I found Rental Milan from a Reddit forum, and I trusted Reddit because I'm an American. Like, that's a common thing that students like around my age use. And when I saw that on Reddit, I looked at the apartments and I saw that they had a couple of availabilities, and fortunately there was one that was within my budget as well. I reached out immediately and the company responded very quickly as well, which was really convenient. Learning from my previous mistakes, I wanted to make sure I toured the location. That said, the website had great resources. There was a virtual tour, there was many images, and when I actually went to tour the house in person, it was basically identical to all the resources and information that had been shared online, which was very comforting to know. I really like the place. The management and everyone is very approachable, quick to respond, easy to communicate with. And given all that, this felt like a good location to commit to, and I felt that I could really trust the company, and I'm very excited to live here.
Okay, enjoy your stay. But just to recap, let's say that if I understood correctly, you it was Airbnb, right?
Yes.
You booked before coming to Italy,
Right.
right? And you started to look maybe I don't know how long time ago before coming here, but
Right.
And then you see this the owner had good reviews also, and you are used to use Airbnb, and then you booked, and then. I mean, it's typical that the photos are too nice. They are not it's the same apartment, but the photos are just too nice to
Right.
it's not the reality. I mean, nice photos, but the apartment is different. They use filters, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the big thing to keep in mind is the Airbnb fundamentally wasn't the worst listing, options that I had. It was just that if this was a short stay, if it were for a week or something like that, I would have been fine. But realizing that I'm going to be here for a semester, I'm a
4
student,
months.
4 months, all those considered, I realized that this is not a good place to live in for those 4 months.
And then you went to hotel right away. You booked with
Right.
booking.com or something, right?
Right.
So what you are saying, that you would recommend people who are in the same situation that you was, you recommend them maybe to book something before arriving here with Booking or Airbnb for 1-2 weeks, and then come here physically and right?
Yeah, exactly. I think the best way to find and lock down long-term housing is to actually tour the place physically once you're here. That way you can avoid scams, and you can also see it with your 2 eyes to trust that where you're going is a place that you'll like. And so rather than committing, I actually booked my Airbnb a month ahead. But rather than doing that, if I had just booked some short stay at a hotel or some hostel, lodge, whatever, and had spent the first week or two in Milan looking around for different apartments. Like if I had set these tours ahead of arriving and planned for them to be this week, I think that would have been easier for me to make a decision on where to live, and I would have had more clarity because I would go knowing that like wherever I'm staying is not my long-term stay, but where I'm looking at could be where I want to stay for the next 4 months.
Yeah, so to make it short, maybe coming here a little bit before
Yeah.
and booking for a few weeks, and
Right.
then you would have had also yourself a better experience, and then because you was quite last minute, or let's say you was quite what is the right word? I don't know. You needed a house fast.
Urgently, yeah.
Urgently, yes. So okay. And so it would be nice to have some friend here, because somebody who come here, they have friends or family or somebody they can so one option could be that they could send somebody to go to see the apartments if they would have a friend or family, somebody living here, or they could contact somebody here that could go to see the house also if you
Right.
can't come yourself, or if you don't have extra 1-2 weeks to come in here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think in a perfect world, it would be nice to have arrived a few days earlier, spent that time searching for a place. If not, one thing I liked about Rental Milan was that the pictures were, again, very true to the actual listing of the flat. Alternatively, if I could have had someone go to these locations
Yes.
and tour them on my behalf, even like do some sort of like a FaceTime or video messaging so that I could see it through the video,
Yes.
I think that would have been very securing to know, just because I still have the chance to look at it, and I also have almost like a second input because someone else is also viewing this apartment and giving their opinion on it.
Yes, because I don't use filters and I make the photos, but I don't use wide angle, also very little wide angle just for bathroom, and yes. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm happy for you, and I hope that this I don't know, this audio will help somebody else also to have more clearer ideas how they want to do it, and it's not easy to find houses in Milano also for local people, or let's say people who live here that are not Italian, or especially if you don't speak English, it's very hard. Like if you go with the local portals, basically you need to know English, Italian. And if you do with Airbnb, there is a lot of Italian owners that don't speak English, and then there is a communication problem, and there is some hidden cost, of course, because there is never, you don't know if the heating is included, if it's condominium heating, if it's included, if it's not included, if it's autonomous heating.
Right.
Maybe you need to put the internet in your name, all the contracts, the electricity, gas can be.
Exactly.
Or there is no internet, or so it's already a lot of stress to come abroad to study. I mean, in Bocconi really you need to study also, and so it's just a lot of more stress that you don't need to just have problems also just to find a house, and it takes time, and it's maybe it's easier if you want to look a house that is like shared, but also there can be a problem because you need to live with somebody else, so that
you might
different.
not know.
Yeah, that you might not know, and you haven't lived together basically maybe before, even if it's your friend, and so it has also some problems with it. So.
Right. I think overall of the websites and of the different just servers I was using to look for housing after arriving to Milan, Rental Milan was really trustable.
Yes, and which other websites you was looking for that you would recommend to check out first, or you don't? You prefer not to?
I think there are some popular ones. I think Dove Vivo is one,
Yes.
and then I think Immobiliare.
Immobiliare.
Yeah,
.it?
Immobiliare. Yeah, .it. I think those are very popular sites.
If I remember correctly, you told me also Spot a Home.
Spot a Home is one that foreigners use, and then there's also Unidays, or Uniplaces. Sorry.
Uniplaces, yes.
And then there's also Gromia. The only things you need to keep in mind with these websites as well is there's some hidden agency fees. For example, with Gromia, they take a certain percentage of the rent. So
but it's hidden. It's not the price you see in the website.
You'll see it, but it's like the listing will have one price, and when you're ready to book, then they start adding on all these like unprojected service fees. Whereas with Rental Milano, like the landing page is this is your per day rent cost, and then this is how much the service fee is going to look. Yeah. So it was nice to just see those numbers up front rather than when you're trying to like make the transaction.
Actually, the pre-day doesn't include the hour fee, but basically you need to add 25%, but when you see the total price you see for the month, this is the total price you pay, and you don't pay anything extra. There is included also cleaning before and after every 4 weeks, so after 4 weeks you arrive, there is cleaning and so on, and everything is included: the Wi-Fi, electricity, gas bills, condo expenses, cleaning, all the bills and taxes basically that the owner needs to pay also, it's included.
Right.
So this is nice, and Wi-Fi, unlimited Wi-Fi internet, that is the most important thing, of course.
I think the one cautionary piece that I would add here is if you're coming to Milan with a specifically like tight budget, or if you're not too particular about living standards, then I don't think there's any reason to like hold it off until arriving. But that said, like personally for me, I was really thrown off by like the lack of cleanliness and things like that in my first booking, and so that's why it really helped to first arrive and then finalize where I wanted to live.
Yeah, if not, you could check out Reddit, as you said, and also the Facebook groups. Bocconi has some groups, and Milano has many apartment rent groups, and you could start to check them out. I mean, it's not never too early. If you know already, you decide, or you know that you get accepted in the school, it's never too early to start to look houses, because it's really, I say again, it's not easy to find houses here. Also, people who live here, especially for foreigners who doesn't speak Italian and so on. So I hope it's helpful for somebody, and welcome to Milan.